So, like you said, you started Laugh Unlimited right before the boom, experienced the heyday of stand up comedy, where a lot of the stars pivoted into television and movies. Um, Today, where do you feel we stand when it comes to the industry as far as, well, it's two parts. One, the social media aspect, and then two, cancel culture and being PC.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you tapped into, and this is what makes you such a great host, LeTroy. You are paying attention and know what you're going to ask, and those are great questions. One of the reasons I sold out of my business, and I loved it and had a passion for it, was that by after 2020, it was actually 2000. Um, One actually to after 2001, things started changing, and that's when I made the decision to get out. And what it was comedy, stand-up comedy had been exploited to the point where, as I mentioned, there was a club in every corner, every late night show had stand-up comedy. There was Evening at the Improv and Live at the Comedy Store, all these TV shows. When I was doing it in the 80s and 90s, it was still pretty special and new and fresh. And by 2001, it was starting to get abused, and the comics were not putting in the work. They were just saying what they thought would get them on TV, or be salacious. They would start getting dirtier or more political, trying to shock the audience instead of being real and talking about things that everybody in the audience could relate to. I think that that has changed, and in my humble mind, ruined stand-up comedy. When you are trying to be woke and go up on stage and do comedy that's engaging and interacting with an audience, if you're not pushing the envelope a little bit, Bobcat Goldthwait was great at that, and there's been a few. Richard Pryor. I mean, they would always take it one step a little farther to find the funny. It was always funny, but it made the audience a little uneasy and happy at the same time. You know what I mean? Poking fun.
Mm-hmm.
Don Rickles was a great example of picked on everybody, but it was meant to say, I'm picking on everybody because we're all humans and we all have something funny about us, right? Don Rickles couldn't do his comedy in this day and age. Everybody would be offended, and
Right.
everybody's feelings, we can't be hurt, and we're all little snowflakes, and if you say something rude, my life is over. And it's like, oh crap, just get a skin, right? And then you talked about social media. It drives me nuts because I mentioned this earlier. I'm sorry to repeat myself, but a good stand-up comic works hard. He gets on stage every moment he can. He's always trying new material. He writes a bit and he's going to say it over and over and over with different audiences to find exactly the funniest parts of that bit. And then he moves on to the next bit. He has to build like a pyramid. He has to build these bits on top of each other, these comic lines to get a set, right? And in the comedy club business, an opening act does maybe 10, 15 minutes. That's a long time on stage. A feature act does maybe half an hour, and a headliner does 45 minutes to an hour. Jay Leno used to easily bang out an hour and a half and not even take a breath. He was so funny and had so much material. But in this day and age with social media, there are people that create videos where they only have to be funny for 15 or 30 seconds, maybe a minute if they push it. And here's the funny part, LeTroy. Some of these people get so many followers because they can be funny for 30 seconds, get gigs at clubs and concerts. Here's Billy Joe Bob from Facebook, and he's got 2 million followers because he does, these funny videos, and they pay him $10,000 to go up on stage. And guess what? These shitheads aren't funny at all. They know how to make a little short video, but they don't know how to put bits together. They don't know how to entertain for half an hour or an hour. I mean, $10,000, you got to have some material, right?
Right.
And these dimwits, just know how to drop a bucket of poop on their head and get people to laugh. That as a producer drives me nuts because they didn't put in the work. They're not engaging with an audience. They're engaging with a camera, the one-eyed monster. They're not interacting with an audience. They're not building a rapport. They're just doing something stupid on a camera. So social media has weakened comedy, and I think wokeness weakened comedy, and that's why I'm depressed.